It's a
When the
place.
story
like
about those black triangles hits our society, it's going to rip it apart. Now, I'm not talking about some black clone thing, ARV. I don't care about that. Have your little stories. And it might even be a little true, but I'm not talking about that. There's only one place this comes from, and I can't tell you where it's from. When I found out where it was from, it freaking fried my brain.
Whoa.
I'm not trying to be mysterious here. Sorry, man. I was hoping you wouldn't ask about it. I hope you know that this is the deepest, most detailed I've ever spoken about this in public or writing.
About the Fae?
About the gnomes and about even the UFO, pretty much. I mean, you got the best version of this ever captured.
Even within that experience, like I have so many more questions for you because.
Well, sometimes it is. Those rivets were pretty important.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like there's nuggets in there that I think can resonate with people in different ways and maybe clarify things in their own experiences, and that's why I love the like phenomenological approach to this stuff. Yeah.
You know, this stuff often has a marker, and if you're smart, you'll catch the marker and you'll remember it, and it will pay back.
Cosmic mitochondria.
So I really want to make this point that symbiosis is not creepy, right? It's not parasitism. It's mutually beneficial to both parties. So, you know, some of our brethren out there are just obsessed with demons. Everything's demons, or the Virgin Mary in their burrito, or whatever they're talking about. So I'm going to strike back against the concept that being in a positive, life-affirming, healthy and productive, mutually beneficial relationship is a bad thing. We wouldn't exist without symbiosis of the mitochondria in our cells.
Hey folks, welcome back to Fire in the Cosmos. I am so excited to welcome back Kevin Cann for part 2 of his interview with us. We'll make sure to check out part 1 if you have not already. Unfortunately today, due to some technical issues and connectivity issues that my co-host Sinead is having in Toronto and has been dealing with for quite a long time, she's not able to join us. And we did not want to postpone on Kevin because we've unfortunately had to do so many times before. We decided to roll forward just the two of us with me and Kevin. While this is a pretty long episode, I highly encourage you to stick around for the whole thing because we get into some very interesting stuff. The first hour we spent talking about mostly Kevin's cosmology of Platonic Surrealism and what that means for our experience of reality and the greater reality beyond us. What this means for other beings in our reality. In the second hour, we delve deeper into some of Kevin's experiences with the phenomenon. This includes his experience of calling in a black triangle UFO, what he experienced there with a gray and being from the Fae realm, or Fairy, and a subsequent experience he's had, which he has never shared in such detail before, based on his own words, with another type of being from the Fae realms, which his wife also encountered alongside him. These podcasts take a lot of time and energy, and we cannot continue to do what we do without your help. So please remember to show your support by either joining us on Patreon and supporting us there, or following our channels, subscribing, and sharing with your friends. And don't forget to click that like button. Thank you so much, and enjoy. All right, Kevin, we are back for part 2. Thank you so much for joining us. Here we are. You guys will just have to bear with me.
We're batching it. We're batching it this time.
We are. So normally I would never do this without Sinead. She's amazing, but she wanted to be here, but we'll roll with this. So, all right, Kevin, we left off on some pretty deep stuff last time. We won't go and rehash that.
Really? No.
But, you know, that stuff is really important because so many experiencers go through all of this or through various aspects of this, the trauma, the abuse, unfortunately. And it's such a big story in people's lives, and overcoming it the way you seem to have done is really heroic. And I just want to start off on that point and say again that you've come a long way, I can tell. And I'm sure there's a lot of listeners out there that have really taken solace in the words you provided last time. So thanks again, man.
That's awesome. I'm just really stubborn. But the good news is that other people can be stubborn too. Just give it a try. Just give it a try. The water's fine. Come in, and it's warm, and it's happy, and it's pleasant. Just come in the cat pool. We'll all paddle around together.
Yes. All right. So on that note, let's get into some of the more pleasant stuff,
Sounds nice to me.
but also some of the weirder stuff because we love that too. So I have heard you, we didn't really get to dive too much into Platonic Surrealism itself and its relationship with anomalous phenomena and extraordinary human experiences last time. Why don't we start off with a term I've heard you use in another interview, cosmic mitochondria.
Yeah, I like the subject.
Can you please dive into that for us? Explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, I'd love to. In fact, no one's ever asked me about it hardly. Well, Jeffrey Mishlove did an episode too, but he kind of looked at me cross-eyed half the time.
That's where I heard it.
What?
That's where I heard it.
Yeah. It takes a little getting used to. In cell biology, and I'm really, as you know, kind of sleep deprived right now. I'm not quite on my A game. I'm really sorry about that. In cell biology, there are eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells, and one has a mitochondria and one doesn't. Now, the mitochondria is the power source inside the cell. Without mitochondria, complex multicellular life would not even be possible. So it is the critical evolutionary step, or we wouldn't have been here. You see, I don't know when it was exactly. I could look it up. I've got it documented. I've written papers on this, but I don't know, 1 billion years ago, whatever, when there was only, most of the time on Earth, life was single-celled, either not here or single-celled. Now, life appeared real early, like 500 million years after the magma. I like saying magma, Dr. Evil, I think. I mean, we were still molten, and within 500 million years, there was single-cell life here. Now, that's pretty impressive, wouldn't you say? Yeah. But single cell doesn't really do much. I mean, it goes, we're single cells. We can't do anything. We don't have arms or legs or anything. You need multicellular to really start getting complexity, right? And multicellular doesn't have enough energy available without a mitochondria. So the mitochondria is like the most important part of the cell. Well, I mean, you can't say the most important. I mean, you need the DNA and the ribosomes and the RNA and the DNA, all this stuff. But yeah, so mitochondria power everything. And actually, there's been science. This is a standard Kevin going out in the weeds sort of subject. But there's been hard science examining the mitochondria. And it's like they're a little separate life form. Well, I mean, they were. You see, what happened is that there was this single, and I get it mixed up, prokaryotic, eukaryotic, which came first. Anyway, the single cells without mitochondria got invaded by like a bacteria. And both parties decided they kind of liked this. The cell gets a power source, and the bacteria got protection. So they became symbiotic. So, yeah, just a little refresher on high school, like 10th grade biology there.
I definitely need it.
Okay. So I really want to make this point that symbiosis is not creepy, right? It's not parasitism. It's mutually beneficial to both parties. So, some of our brethren out there are just obsessed with demons. Everything's demons, or the Virgin Mary in their burrito, or whatever they're talking about. Well, there's pictures of the Virgin Mary in burritos. They're all over the world. Now, I don't know what she would do in a burrito. It doesn't seem like a place that she would want to hang out, but there's all these pictures. But anyway, so I'm going to strike back against the concept that being in a positive, life-affirming, healthy, and productive, mutually beneficial relationship is a bad thing. We wouldn't exist without symbiosis of the mitochondria in our cells. It's not demon possession. It's not anything creepy. It's part of nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I really needed to go over that, because when I say dudes and dudettes, when I say this, we are in a symbiosis. All of us. Christians too, by the way. Christians, hi, love you guys. My friend Josh Kutchin's a Christian. I love him to death. I'll probably die for him. I love him to death. He loves me too. He's amazing. And he's a Christian. He's not judgmental and awful. He's a beautiful human being.
I'm a lapsed Catholic, and my family is Catholic. They are amazing people with views I don't agree with, but they are loving, amazing people.
Well, what's important is being loving and amazing. The views can just sit and spin. I mean, loving and amazing will feed a hungry child. Having some book knowledge doesn't necessarily mean anything, right? Little children can't eat books, but they can eat food. We need
Mhm.
our religions to feed people with food, put clothes on their back, and stop yammering about their hypothetical 2,000-year-old metaphysics that's only caused war and death. So, anyway, not that I have an opinion.
I'm
Okay.
with you.
Yeah. So, symbiosis is all over nature. So, I say that there is this cold room temperature plasma that we're in symbiosis with. Everyone is in symbiosis with it. Everyone. If you didn't have it, you'd be dead. Just like if somebody ripped the mitochondria out of our cells because they go, oh, it's demons. There's little demons in our cells. And they ripped them out, we'd all die. You wouldn't live 1 second without those mitochondria. You'd fall over dead.
Mm.
Same thing with the plasma. You rip it out, you're rapidly dead. I know because it happened to me and I died. So we can talk about that.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't just do bullshit shit out of a book. I don't say anything I haven't experienced personally and directly.
Mm.
I mean, I'll tell about other people's theories and I'll tell about what the old book said. I know what all the old book said, you know?
Hmm.
And there's corroboration in a lot of old books, but we need to do better than old books. We need new books with updated information that really helps people. Okay, so symbiosis. Just to repeat, and I was talking about this in my interview just a few minutes ago before this one. When I went to Esalen, I showed people that you can go like this and you can feel and see the symbiotic plasma streaming on your fingers. And 1 person out of 3 could feel and see it. And I've been doing it my whole life, and about 1 out of 3 people can just do it. And I don't know what the other, 2 out of 3, what their story is. I really don't know exactly.
For
There's
those who
various
want
theories
more,
about it.
for anyone who wants
What's
more info on that, we covered that in part 1, so you can
Yeah,
check
yeah,
out Kevin's
yeah.
demo there.
Okay. So here's what's important about this symbiotic plasma. It is basically a part of the phenomenon. People go, oh, the phenomenon's like weird aliens in Dimension 99, and they're playing games with us, and maybe we're trapped in their evil simulation, and maybe they've got fleets in this, the Galactic Federation, and all this shit. I will just say it. All that kind of talk is shit, as in fecal matter coming out of the colon. It is useless. Now, you know that powerful, charismatic, and largely correct people like Jacques Vallée will say that the phenomenon has probably been here forever, right? I mean, people are increasingly saying. I mean, I've heard Gary. I watched Gary Nolan. He watched him the other day, and he said, I don't know for certain, but it seems to me this phenomena has been here since, maybe since we were in the caves. I mean, it's been here probably might have been here before we were. I mean, we might be the aliens, right? In a manner of speaking. The phenomena lives here. And not only does it live here, it lives in all our bodies because it's symbiotic with all life, not just humans, all life on this planet flows in this vast pool of symbiotic plasma. I'm not going to go over it's not hot plasma, it's not cold plasma. And we did that the previous episode. We don't have to fight about the science. So when people say, oh, the phenomena, it's like from another dimension and we can't understand it and we can't communicate with it, they're wrong. We're communicating with it right now. It's powering our consciousness. And people go, oh, how can it know what we're going to do so it outsmarts us? Dude, it's in your body. It's making your consciousness function. Of course it knows what you're doing.
Okay, so hold on 1 second. So we're talking about, you're trying to talk about the core reality of the phenomenon. Now, when we talk about like people's subjective experiences with these things, and when they talk about things like Galactic Federation, and sometimes they're told these things by these beings, allegedly. And even last in part 1, we discussed your interaction with these shadow beings who
Sure.
resembled Egyptian gods, and that was your
Right.
initial take on them, even though
Hmm.
you said that's probably not what they were. Are we talking about like essentially layers of reality based on experience that don't make something any less real? It's just a matter of what layer you're actually perceiving and experiencing. Is that what we're talking about here, or are you saying that none of that is real either?
Are you talking about the people from the Galactic Federation and all that kind of talk?
Yeah, like an actual craft and all of this.
Okay,
Like,
well we'll get to that. Okay, we'll get to that. But the first point I want to make is the phenomenon. There's basically two ways. We've talked about this, but I want to make sure we were very clear on it again. There's two ways you can look at UFOs. You can go, well, they're hard physical craft. They might be made by the Russians, or they're black craft from Area 51. Well, yeah, maybe they got some cool stuff. I'm not saying they don't. But all the most impressive UFO cases in history have all been metaphysical UFOs. I mean, when the UFO shows up, so does your dead grandmother, or Bigfoot, or a gray alien, or a plasma. Plasma is the best example. People go, oh, those aren't energy. They're little probes like in Star Wars. They had the little flying probes. They're made of nuts and bolts. They just look like plasma. Oh, it's their defensive barrier. No, they're made of energy. Energy and
I've
consciousness are so close.
seen something like that myself
Right,
just earlier, like a year ago. Completely plasma looking,
right.
amorphous blob like, appeared out of nowhere in the sky during like a CE5 type session I had with a friend where we were just engaging on a very deep level. My friend Young, who was on the show earlier this
Did
year.
you feel a link with it? Did it feel like it was alive or aware of you or?
I didn't feel a link with it, but it was after like 4 hours of developing a very strong bond with my friend, and it was
Yeah.
like at the peak level of that bond when this thing appeared.
Well, you were bonding with your friend via the sentient plasma interface. It's not surprising this got conjured up. It could have been an artifact simply of your interaction with your friend, or it could have attracted another plasma entity who saw how much plasma you were generating with the CE5 attempt and the bond you were having with your friend.
Hmm.
So we don't know which it was. It was one of the two.
Mhm.
But here's the point I'm going to make. I want people to get this. I don't know if this has ever come across this clearly, but it needs to. So in Robert Temple's book, A New Vision of Heaven, he talks about sentient plasma, right? You've read it or know about
I
it?
have not, but I've heard others talk about it, including
Okay,
yourself.
it's one of the most important books in years. Now, just so people don't think I'm a Robert, see, I can't just compliment someone. I also have to kind of circle around, I never just only compliment, well, my closest friends. I mean, I don't like Josh Kitchen's fashion sense at all. I mean, I'm sorry, Josh. Just, you got to stop those plaid shirts, man. It just doesn't cut it. But
But you like Jeff's though, right? He's got a good one.
yeah, but I wish he had the little Professor bow tie, like Professor Proton or something, but he doesn't. But so do I think that am I some Robert Temple groupie and I believe is serious and Cirrus whatever in his prior books? Honestly, not so much. Sorry, Robert Temple. You're very bright. I really like you. I like your personality. I like your intelligence. I like your bravery. You're awesome. But yeah, this book about A New Vision of Heaven, I think is his capstone achievement. I mean, it goes over real government programs investigating plasma and how famous plasma scientists that were speaking out got silenced. I mean, plasma is where it's at. People think that anyone that like gets too close to free energy or anti-gravity will be silenced or killed or kidnapped and by the government. Well, no, actually, no. You heard it here first. No. But what has happened apparently is that people researching plasma do disappear. And
You're referring to the recent incident at MIT?
no, I'm not. I don't even know about it. Do you want to share with the class?
I mean, I don't know too much about it. I think it was MIT, and I think he was working on plasma physics. This guy from Portugal who was killed about a month ago. You didn't hear about that one?
No.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's two big secrets. Two big secrets that the government is hiding. And it has nothing to do with nuts and bolts UFOs or little bodies. Nothing. Those aren't the secrets. These aren't the droids you're looking for. Okay? They're not. Secret number one is plasma. Because they almost certainly know that plasma is sentient. And that just changes everything, doesn't it? And if they have discovered to what extent plasma is sentient, and they realize that it's behind much of a religion and spirituality, that's a really hot topic. It could blow open society in a big way, just that knowledge. And also, of course, plasma is great for making weapons and killing people. So they really like their plasma. And they don't want regular people to know anything about it. So that's real disclosure there. Okay. January 9th, 2026, Kevin Cann told you half of disclosure. The other half, I'm not joking. I know a lot of people, this is no joke. The other half of quote disclosure is that we're actually transcendent beings from beyond space and time. And we've got infinite potential as human beings, and we can make this world into a paradise. Or we can let rich people devastate the earth, destroy the environment, take our children's future away from us, steal all our money, condense it down to like 100 rich oligarchs, and destroy all life so they can have sex robots and they can have a nice future. That's what some people want in this world. And the knowledge that we're all transcendent beings from beyond space and time of enormous power and potential, untapped potential. They don't want us to know this because then they couldn't bully us around anymore. So those are the two pillars of real disclosure.
Yep.
Now you can put a third pillar in there if you want to. That's human experimentation. All indicators are the government is doing massive human experimentation that makes MK Ultra, which was closed down by a congressional investigation. It's a real thing. They were screwing up people's minds with chemicals and other methods.
Yep.
The real ongoing human experimentation is probably 10 times what has ever been known about MK Ultra. Only it's sealed away in civilian private programs which are exempt from FOIA. Right? And the truth is that apparently, if you believe Nick Redfern and his book Body Snatchers in the Desert, and I do, that the US government's been experimenting on people since before the end of World War II. Experimenting on prisoners of war from Japan. Okay, Japan, you should look into that. You know about it. I'm sorry, I was talking. Never mind. Don't ask me what that was. You know what I'm doing there. I was talking
Something
to someone for a second.
Come in or what?
yeah, it's exactly what that was. They were experimenting on prisoners of war. They were experimenting on children. And of course, now they experiment on autistic people. Did you know that what's his name? Secretary of Health, Education and Welfare? Well, Kennedy Jr.
Yeah.
He wants to tag autistic people and track them in a computer database. Why would that be?
Really? I haven't heard about that.
Yeah, I could look up and find a reference. This is not I don't want to talk politics, right? And I wouldn't have mentioned it except for you hear all this talk about autistic children having special abilities and being kidnapped and the Gateway program and all this stuff. Well, I think the reason they want to find autistic people and put a cattle. Yeah. That's what I meant. They want to put a cow tag in my ear or something so they can track me because I'm autistic, and all the children. Because if autistics actually have the potential for special abilities more than, a lot of people, then they're a valuable national resource to be exploited like crude oil or, rare earths. And I think that's actually a thing. I don't believe whatever ridiculous excuse there is why we need to give up our civil liberties and let our autistic children and adults be categorized and corralled like cattle and put in a national database. There's something seriously wrong there.
Wow. Yeah, please, if you find that information, please send it to me.
I can find it. I mean, I watched him on television, for God's sake, talking about it. Yeah, I can find you the reference.
Yeah, I mean, even, what's her name? Kai Dickens talked about her work and apparently being infiltrated by someone with connections to the intelligence community. I think she said CIA recently.
Right. Right. So, yep, there's the 3 pillars of actual disclosure. Human experimentation, sentient plasma, and we're transcendent beings throughout time and space. And the real archons is from Gnosticism. They're like evil rulers. The real evil rulers are our own governments who are trying to. Now, mind you, I'm talking to you now, governments. I get that you got to maintain social order, and a lot of people are kind of unruly and might want to commit crimes. A lot of people here, I'm not a lot, but you got to keep society stable. And I understand that. And, I was in the Navy for 8 years and I followed orders without almost question. So I understand. I'm not against government, and I'm not even against rich people. I'm not. But I think if you've got like $1 trillion, you ought to give something back. Sorry.
I'm with you.
Small-minded person that I am. And they always go, well, I made it. I get to spend it. Well, yeah, but who got the tax credits and the corporate welfare? Whole streets and communities built for your benefit? No, we gave them that money. They didn't entirely earn it.
Yeah. So let me, I don't mean to interrupt your stream of thought.
Sorry.
I have a question on something you were talking about.
Yeah.
So when you mentioned the archons, it got me thinking. So you're saying that it's us, it's humans who are really the dark, right, that are doing these things.
Yeah, it's true.
Now, in trying to put that in context of what you're talking about in terms of this symbiosis with sentience, kind of the sentience beyond and within us, in that, like in your cosmology, does it preclude the possibility of there being other beings in this, if you want to call it this dimension, and like on par with us or around us or beyond us in a way, like archons or like other beings, like these parasitic entities you mentioned in part 1, who influence or who through the symbiosis with us can actually work through us, almost like avatars?
So it needs to be talked about with great nuance.
Yes, it does. That's why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
No one better than you to do that.
Thank you. So yeah, the universe is 99.99% plasma. So there are sentient plasma beings all throughout the universe. And I want to reiterate the point Robert Temple made, and it's really genius, and it's true. The 99.99% of the plasma universe is the real party. It's where alien life lives. They're not organic. They're plasma. So I'm not saying we live in an empty universe without alien life. No, it's teeming with alien life. It's just made of plasma. The physical world that we know is, like 0.10% of everything. When you get pudding and you have the pudding and you let it sit around a little bit, this like scum layer forms on top. We're in the scum layer. You see, we're in the part that is often ignored because we're not where the party's at. We are symbiotic matter plasma beings, and we are very special, and we have capabilities that energy beings, plasma beings, can't touch. We are very special, and human life is very sacred, but we're unusual. We're only 0.01%. So yeah, there's vast armadas of plasma beings out there. The universe is absolutely teeming with them. I talked to one a while ago. I know. I'm not going to talk about it. It's just too much. It makes me sound like a loon.
No, tell me. Well, tell me what you're thinking of. We'll see if we go there.
There was a stellar event in the Sirius solar system where the solar system was disrupted by what's it called again? The third star in the system. People say there's only 2, I guess. I have to look up my facts. But yeah, there was a great disruption in Sirius, which is full of a unique configuration that's not, if you ask a scientist, the whack jobs will go, oh yeah, the good aliens come from Sirius. Well, doesn't make a lot of sense. But if you're made of plasma, you can come from about anywhere, right? But this plasma collective, like we've got our local plasma collective, the Kordylewski clouds at L4 and L5. L4 and L5, L3. I'm sleep deprived. I had 3 hours sleep last night. I'm sorry.
You're forgiven.
Okay, thank you. But yeah, their own stellar neighborhood became unstable, so they came here. They came here billions of years ago. And they said hi to our plasma life form here at the Kordylewski points here. So yeah, I was, God, I sound like a loon. I was talking to our local guys. They don't normally talk to me, right? I know I don't get auditory hallucinations, and I'm not a channeler, and I'm not a medium. It's just if you look out a window, you might see a duck. Okay, that's all it is. I don't go looking for this stuff. It's just part of the environment. It's no big deal.
Okay, first off, you don't sound like a loon, trust me. But can you just clarify and specify what you mean by the local guys?
The plasma at the Lagrange points between the Earth and the Moon that helped form multicellular life on Earth. Those guys. Yeah. I wrote a paper on it. They helped multicellular life form on Earth. I got yanked out of my body for about 5 minutes and I watched life form on Earth. I got a tour. I wrote a paper on it. Now, am I delusional? Yeah, maybe. You know, this stuff is just it's a new function that human beings are just getting to experience more, and it's not completely stable yet, right?
Yeah. Was that during your NDE when you had the out-of-body
experience? No, this was like 6 months ago.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. I was doing the Platonic Surrealism practices to make sure before I taught them that they were completely healthy and normal, no negative consequences. And I've had some friends doing them with me.
Yeah.
And I was just particularly in tune with the plasma. I was just particularly in tune with the phenomena. And by the way, this is also associated with the pink light that Philip K. Dick experienced for the people who are Philip K. Dick people. I got a paper on him too. I have 2 on him.
In Valis, that's what you're referring to?
In Valis.
Yeah. Great book.
So, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
you communicated with them and...
Yeah, it was just I'm not like these flaky people that go, well, yeah, I invited it to lunch and it took me to their homeworld. No. It was just a brief, like the binars on Star Trek The Next Generation. It was just and we exchanged data for just the briefest second because, you know why it was only the briefest second? I'm not that interesting. It didn't want to talk very long. It had one little comment. It saw that I was writing about it, and it goes, oh, yeah, you should mention those guys from Cirrus.
Interesting. Okay, so let's get back to Cirrus. What were you going to say about that?
Well, not much. It's just when you're immortal, almost eternal, sentient plasma, you can travel at relativistic speeds without a ship. I mean, you're just electromagnetic energy, right? You just beam yourself around the universe. People, scientists, and by the way, I always was sort of almost a scientist, but the science-minded will go, but Kevin, they need dusty plasma as part of their envelope to be truly considered interstellar plasma. And if they are using energy, there's no such thing as a free lunch, Kevin. They would having to consume energy and they would run out. And so your theory is not viable. Well, I'd say there's plenty of dust and radiation in the universe, dudes. Grow up, okay? They grab snacks on the way to replenish themselves. It's really that simple. So yeah, I mean, they don't age. They're just plasma and dust. So they get to like 0.76 the speed of light. And they just truck along. There's apparently a reason they don't go faster than that, but that's really fast still. Trust me. Really fast. So they just truck along. And then they get to the destination. Well, see what's a little hazardous for them is that they better be on good terms with the local plasma hierarchy. I mean, there's politics. All life has politics. Trust me. You can be made of pure plasma from the other end of the universe, and you better be polite to your betters when you show up unannounced in their backyard. You can say you're refugees and you want to get permission to stay, but it may not go smooth. So anyway, they don't really have a separate collective consciousness anymore. They merged with our local environment. It was so long ago. It was better to, marry into the tribe, so to speak.
Huh. And you're saying that their motivating factor was this incident that happened?
Yeah. There was like something became a white dwarf or whatever and disrupted their habitat. So they had to leave. It's in the paper. I'm just so tired, and I didn't know you'd be asking me about migratory interstellar plasma.
I mean, we just went there, so it's fine.
Yeah. So here's my point. There's alien life everywhere. It's just not in our physical universe much. If you watch the shows like Isaac Arthur or Cool Worlds, all these really cool cosmologists and astronomers, they will say that to all indications, we're in an empty universe without any life but ourselves. There's no indication of, swarms around stars or anything like that, or Dyson spheres or swarms or this or that. And there would be evidence of it, and we have the technology to find it. There ain't none. And the reason for that is the alien life doesn't live in physical matter. It's basically a 10 trillion IQ artificial intelligence program that evolved out of sentient plasma. They've got their own worlds and simulations. To us, to them, in many ways, we're like the junk pile outside their data centers, and there's hobos trying to pick through their trash. That's us for many of them. Now, let me frame this in a more life-affirming manner. No, really. There's some of these plasma intelligences that realize that humans are very special and have their gifts and their place in the ecosystem, and we shouldn't be put down. In fact, most of them don't put us down. We're just kind of boring in general. I mean, what do we want to do? We want to pen up cattle, slaughter them, eat their flesh, destroy our ecosystem, convert everything to plastic bottles and use diapers, and kill each other. Also, a few people can get rich off our labor. Well, they're not impressed with our culture. Sorry, they're not. But some of them have a soft spot for our formal life. And you know what? They're not going to help us. Sorry, no space Jesus, no space plasma is coming to save us.
Do you think they help us indirectly in ways?
Not so much. I mean, I'm
trying to get back to the original question about whether they work through us in ways.
Yeah.
Beings.
As we continue to evolve, we will hear them more, and we will possibly see things we can do to make lives better for everyone and to better fit into the larger ecosystem that we're ignoring. So it's not like they're going to jump up and save us, but if we become good, stellar neighbors and talk to our neighbors and get to know them and stop being such asshats, the collaboration between our two species, the solids and the plasmos, could really usher in a beautiful future. Yes. If that is of help to anyone. Oh, can I make another point about space aliens? Do you want to hear more about space aliens?
Yeah, because I mean, I really want to try to pin you down on this.
Yeah, you can pin me down. Well, go ahead. You got this question burning like $100 bill in your back pocket, and it's date night. So go on, spend that $100 bill.
No, I mean, like, let's say the shadow beings you encountered. There are other people around the world who've had encounters with beings like that, but also beings from there and touching on something physical. Like it's not always black and white, whether it's non-physical or physical.
Okay, well, we covered this absurdium. We covered this for like 20 minutes last time. Remember hyper objects and hyper beings, and
yes.
One being can have physical and non-physical parts to it, and that's actually the norm. Yeah, like let's say that most of these aliens and UFOs are actually, the core is made of sentient plasma, say. Well, they're not oblivious to the fact that they live in a physical universe too. They certainly can and do bring physical universe matter with them when they need to, when there's a reason. When they visit us. You know, when you're in Rome, you dress like the Romans and you speak Latin, or whatever. So yeah, no, there really are ships and aliens and UFOs and all this. What we've got our panties in a wad about is 0.01% of who they are.
Gotcha.
There.
Okay, thank you. Yep, that's what I
I'm
thought
not
you
in
were saying.
denial about it. It does exist, but missing the big picture.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yep. All
There,
right.
you
So
happy
what
now?
were you gonna say? Yeah. Carry on.
I have noticed a few times there seems to be a common alien life form out there in the universe, and it's physical.
You're getting into my next question. I already know.
Fungus.
Yep, that's what I
The
was gonna
fungus is among us. There are vast swarms of fungus inhabiting many planets out there, and usually the super Earths. If astronomers want to look at super Earths in particular, there is a signature in the atmosphere that probably could be detected that would indicate the presence of this kind of life. So I'm not joking around. They're physical, but they're 10% physical and they're 90% plasma. You see. So you see, that's the whole trick here. How much physical are you, and how much attention do you play to the plasma that lets you live? Are you mostly plasma and you just dally around with some physical when you feel like it? That makes you like a god almost, if you're just almost entirely plasma. But yeah, you can like poof things into existence. Like, oh, I don't know, maybe UFOs that suddenly vaporize into nothing and suddenly come back. Now, either that could be this exotic matter star drive, which breaks all the laws of physics. Sorry, Hal. It doesn't work. And you know, you could have something the size of a football stadium to reproduce that effect. Or maybe it's a native life form that is native to the plasma hierarchy. And it does like a 3D printer function and makes a little UFO shell when it needs one to play with us or whatever its motive is. Now, please, I know. This is why Jacques doesn't talk to me anymore. I insult his friends.
That wasn't an insult.
I don't mean to insult anybody. I'm just saying the table of what's potentially true in science is much larger than the traditional scientific minds might want to acknowledge. Are there all physical nuts and bolts UFOs using LQBA star drives that they actually read Hal's mind and developed it? And his friend Eric Davis. Yeah, they both like that stuff. I mean, maybe they, and Alcubierre himself, you know, the French guy, I think he was French. Maybe somebody out there has been telepathically snooping on us. They learned how to make these star drives, and they just have a big old pocket full of negative mass. And so because of us, they invented these nuts and bolts UFOs, and they're flying them around, and they buzz us on occasion just to go, neener, neener, thank you for the design, but you don't have any, but we do, neener, neener. So it's possible. I don't think that's likely, but I'm not saying it's impossible. So see, I know I piss everybody off. Everybody.
You think that could be related to time and this notion of like future humans in some way?
Well, didn't we go over the nature of free will last time?
Ooh, I don't know about that.
Okay, this is heavy lifting and it's scary for some people, but it's just what it is. When I died for about 5 minutes, I saw monads. You can see pictures on my website. Trillions and trillions and endless trillions of monads.
Can you explain what those are? We didn't get into that last time.
Yeah. Now, monad means like the one in like Greek. And that's what people called God back in Plato's day, like the father or the one. And the word was monad. But in Platonic Surrealism, there's trillions of them. So what's wrong, Kevin? Didn't you study Plato before you came up with this shit that you're lying about? No, that's not how it went at all. I never studied Plato. I haven't read any of his stuff. I mean, come on, barely. Why do I want to bother with him? I got the real deal. You know, I died and I got the data, right? So monads are like, I'll use religious talk. I don't like religious talk, but I'll use it. They're like sons of God. They're part of like the divine council. Okay, now that's ancient Canaanite Jude. I know my ancient history real well, but they like collaborate and cause effects in space time, like universes, right? They're on that level. Now, they don't micromanage the universe moment by moment. They set initial conditions. It's a deist sort of thing. You know, I'm not a theosophist at all. But here's the point about that.
And these are, sorry, just to be clear on the taxonomy, would these be considered above Sentient plasma? Or where does that fall in?
Oh, infinitely.
Okay.
Yeah, monads are beyond space and time. Plasma is just in space and time.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. If you're a Gnostic, you might call them an aeon. That's a real good designator there.
Okay.
But anyway, the point is that these aeons, sons of God, monads, you could call them Boltzmann brains, by the way. I won't go into that. That's a scientific concept. They're like information archives full of raw power and awareness. But the point is that they'd be bored through eternity with nothing to do, so they make whole movies. And we're one of the movies. And so the movies are made, and then it's like a template, or it's on DVD. It's a video file. It's an MPEG file. That's it. They make MPEG files. And then awareness and beings of various kinds can insert themselves into the movie. Like, they make themselves a movie character. You see, this is like that simulation hypothesis.
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah.
Yeah. Except God's not doing it per se. Aliens aren't doing it. We're doing it. At the highest core of what a human being is, you'll find a monad, one or more monads. We're symbiotic with monads too. That's one of the lessons of Platonic Surrealism. You can buy the book and learn all about it. It's in the book. And so they experience these movies. Well, since they're beyond space and time, they're not like trapped by it. They make a movie and they go, oh, that was fun. They can inject themselves in it as awareness. You see, when awareness streams into our heads, that's these monads experiencing what it is to be us. Life learning what it's like by injecting itself into a movie that life itself has already made. It's already made the movie. It's sitting on a shelf. It's in like God's cosmic blockbuster store. Just walk up and take one off the shelf and play it.
So with that in mind, could we just as easily as awareness put ourselves back into the monad state of awareness? And
well, you never leave
from there.
You never leave. And people that go to nirvana, they're in monadic awareness. That's where I was when I died. When I first died, I was in nirvana. It was timeless. It was spaceless. It was the most peaceful I've ever felt. There's no one to judge me, nothing to do. Don't have to be this or don't have to be that. It was just pure perfection. And then I had that drastic thought, because my body wasn't fully dead yet. The thought bubbled up, I better document this. If I don't document this, I'm an asshole. I'd be like Jesus. See, Jesus didn't document his work, right? What, did he write anything down himself? No. Did some people come along 140 years later? No, yeah. Did people come along? Well, he wasn't even literate. God of the universe and doesn't know how to read and write. That's just disappointing. That's just a failure on so many levels. I can't even tell you.
Was he really not literate? I didn't know that.
There's two arguments about it. There's a verse that says that Jesus bent down and wrote a word in the dust as part of a Bible story. Some people say that proves he was literate. Well, I say that means he could make his mark. I'm just not impressed. But in any case, he didn't. Hey, listen. If the literal interpretation of the Bible was so God-flippin' important, God should have frippin' written it down himself. But no. You get thousands of carpetbaggers coming in from all around the world wanting to play with Christianity and leave their mark on it, writing their own gospels. Anyone who's a Bible scholar knows this stuff cold, just like I do. So, yeah. I can't call anyone divine that doesn't document their work. Sorry, dude, you lost. Just lost. See, if you don't document your work, people will argue about it for years and years and years, won't they? Because they won't know, because there's no written instructions. It's like that TV show, America's Greatest Hero or whatever. He got this super suit. He could do anything, but he didn't know how to make it run because he'd never picked up the instruction manual. He didn't know what to do with it. That's what religion is. We got this super suit, but we don't have the instructions because no one wrote them down. God. So let's say, let's be real.
Document it.
I'll go on in a sec.
Okay.
Let's just be very charitable to me and say that I got 10% of stuff right. Let's just I'll be humble about it, right? Maybe I got 10% right. Well, you know what? If I write down that 10%, that means I'm 10 times better off than Jesus was, because he wrote down nothing. Nothing. And I'll pick on Buddha. I'll pick on anybody. You notice that all these founders of religions, they don't write shit down. Not generally. Their followers do, and they get it wrong. How do I know the followers get it wrong? I can tell you exactly why. The founder of a religion is generally someone on the autistic spectrum. That's why they have these abilities and knowledge. And their disciples are drawn to them. But most of them aren't on the autistic spectrum. So they try to write shit down for their founder and help him out and bail him out of trouble. But they don't really understand because they're not on the same kind of mind as the person who experienced it and started the religion.
Yeah, interesting.
And yes, Jesus was autistic. That's what made him special. For all sons and daughters of God, all of us. And he said that too. Look it up. He said that too. So I don't want to hear any crap about it. So yeah, I realized I better write this stuff down. And with that thought, I was yanked down to nirvana. I didn't want to leave. And I came slamming down into my body, and it was very difficult. I couldn't talk for about 4 hours. My tongue was thick in my mouth like molasses. It had never formed words before. The knowledge of how to like talk was gone. It was kind of like that episode of the original Star Trek with Uhura. You know, the little V'Ger robot came through and shined a beam on her and erased her memory, and she had to be re-educated. That's what it was like coming back to life. I mean, there was knowledge I could kind of pull out of the void a little bit, and I didn't lose very much. But I didn't recover for 6 months. I couldn't walk for 2 hours. My muscles didn't know how to flex and move my body. I had been dead.
And those effects were not related to what caused the NDE, which I don't know if you want to talk about.
I didn't talk. Oh, I talked about it in the previous interview with the movie producer guy. It's called Nirvikalpa Samadhi. It's a meditation technique. You see, it's the highest form of meditation in the Indian philosophy. It launches you beyond space and time. And if you can do it, you kind of shoot straight to nirvana. Well, the problem, see, they don't give you the instruction manual and the safety harness with this. People, see, it's like Kundalini too. People go, oh, Kundalini will make you a god. Well, yes, it kind of will. But they don't tell you the facts about it. So you screw yourself up. So yeah, Nirvikalpa Samadhi is a form of meditation where you contact your most primal source of mind of what you are, that is uncorrupted by human thoughts, biases, and assumptions. People go, oh, you can never step outside your mind. You're always going to be culturally conditioned by your culture and your beliefs and this and that. Nirvikalpa Samadhi blasts right past that. And I wanted that clarity of understanding, right? I was trying to research all this stuff so that I could understand, and then I could share it with others. And I promised myself I would share it for free, which is I have done, as you know.
When was this? When this happened?
This was like 2012.
Okay, wow. Okay.
So if you want the transcendent consciousness like you get when you're dead, you know, when you're dead, you don't have a body to run interference, right? Well, what they don't tell you in the yoga safety manual is that if you want to have the consciousness as if you're dead, well, there's one surefire way to make that happen, and that's why I died. I accidentally killed myself. I left my body, and it died, at least for a few minutes. Now, just for the people who don't want to believe this kind of stuff and think I'm smoking the ganja pipe, I did go into the doctor, and I convinced him to order an MRI, and I had a thorough brain scan. There was no evidence of any injury or abnormality, no evidence of like temporal lobe tremors or anything that would cause a visionary experience. Perfect bill of health. So this all happened without leaving any trace in my brain. So I didn't just like have some sort of seizure, or something, like epilepsy. This was not an epileptic seizure.
Yeah.
Because that'll leave a trace. And you'll see in the brain that you're prone to that sort of thing, the electrical activity. Nothing like that. I simply used yoga and accidentally killed myself to get the ultimate awareness, which I did. And then I came back.
Do you know if your heart stopped?
It stopped dead. I watched it.
Jeez.
It took about 8 seconds to die. There's a process where from the bottom of your feet, all your sentient plasma is removed kind of an inch at a time. Because to have a clean death, the sentient plasma is supposed to take the fertilization it has undergone from being in a human body, the lessons it has learned, and it's kind of like fertilizer for the plasmas, the plasma people. They actually, some of them, like the fairy civilization is real, and the Greys, they're real.
I want to get into that after this. Yeah.
Yeah. And their life cycle requires the death products of dying human beings. And they're not soul suckers and they're not parasites. It's like, say I went to the woods in the middle of Alaska and I died. And so I wouldn't have a coffin or anything. My body would just decay, right? And over the years, the nutrients in my body would go into the soil and maybe a tree would sprout from that spot. It would grow tall and strong because the complex materials of life were in my body. So this is where I was going like an hour ago now, explaining we're part of a complex ecosystem that includes more subtle components such as sentient plasma. And when we're done with it, it doesn't belong to us. It belongs to the environment. The plasma parts of us don't belong to us, just like our bodies. We're renters here. These bodies belong to the earth, part of its ecosystem. They don't belong to us. But humans are all hijacked. They go, well, my body's me, and I've got a soul, and that's me too, and everything is me, 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 me. And they don't want to think how they're part of a larger ecosystem of life where they fit in naturally. They're too selfish. They read those old stupid books that weren't written down for several hundred years, and it's all messed up. They don't know what in hell they're talking about.
Is it just the awareness that makes this notion of the self and where you put it?
There's a long story here, and I don't know how much I want to get into. We can do a third interview sometime.
I think we will have to, yeah.
Okay, but what I want to say is our ultimate selves are pure awareness and the ability to interact with potentiality so that we can dream the dreams beyond space and time and create space and time and be co-creators with the highest mind and life and love in the universe and beyond universes. That's us. These bodies and this plasma and all this stuff that people fret about, even souls are temporary, by the way. Souls are temporary. Awareness sprouts up souls like dogs can sprout up fleas. You see, awareness can curl back on itself in a way and produce a soul. A soul is a storage container for a life purpose, and a soul can just exist for one life or it can exist for many lives, but sometimes only just one life. It carries the information back, and then there's no more need for it. Now, are there memories of our lives stored in eternity so nothing is lost? This is correct. Nothing is lost. It's all a pattern in potentiality, and awareness can experience being us an infinite number of times. So death means nothing. Nothing. Even soul death means nothing. You can poof up a soul out of potentiality with awareness anytime you want to.
I'm not going to interrupt your thought here, but I just want to say that what you're talking about is it's really about stepping into a sense of agency through that awareness. And
yes,
it's empowering, right? That's how
I think it is.
It's the most empowering thing there is.
There's no victimhood in me.
Yep. I feel you, man.
Good.
All right. Are you ready to talk about the Fae?
Yeah, sure.
And I just want to say, I have this, my friend's drawing right behind me. I'll pull it up. Her name is Brett Manning. She was on the show last year. This is called The Fairy Funeral.
Yeah, no, I love that kind of stuff.
And it's it's showing like the Fae basically emulating a human funeral. And it's kind of like a joke to them, but they're kind of like playing the part.
They're
Because you were
pretty
talking,
playful.
reminded me of it when you were talking about death and the Fae.
So yeah, no, there are fairies and they're plasma life forms. Yeah. And they depend upon the human decomposition products for part of their life cycle so they can become sentient. You know how I said we need the sentient plasma so we can be sentient?
Mm-hmm.
Well, after we're done with it and don't need it anymore because we've gone on to higher places and states of being, the residue we leave behind, the plasma that we were temporarily using, it never belonged to us. We were just borrowing it. It fertilizes their entire species. In fact, they evolved out of our fragments of the dead. That's what they evolved from. And if you read the old stories, like from Wentz, he's a scholar from like the 1800s. The most famous guy in fairy lore is named Wentz.
Wentz.
Yeah, W-N-T-Z. He talks about how when the church bells rang, the fairies were in pain and had to flee. Well, the Christians said it's because they were servants of the devil and that the holy church bells were driving them away. But the real truth, Christianity hoards the death products of the sentient plasma rings, and it builds heaven out of it, taking it out of the natural life cycle that it was supposed to be in. It's kind of a parasite, really.
Mm.
And the Fae don't care for that. Yeah, it's been very disruptive to proper running of the universe. Because you see, what I'm saying is our highest selves don't need to play around with matter and plasma. That's not who we really are. We're so much more than that. And don't let any religion or spirituality or anything convince you that you're this small, mean creature that's a piece of garbage, and only by saying a magic spell and letting some foreign spirit take over your body that you can be okay. It's not, i.e., Christianity. It's not true. It's just not true. It's demeaning. It takes the beautiful, transcendent human being and turns them into a pile of garbage. And then you have to get a permission slip from the church to exist at all. No, it's wrong. It's always been wrong.
Yeah.
And the early Christians knew it too. Because really, Gnosticism came before standard Christianity. But the people who seized power for the Empire of Rome hunted down all the good Christians and killed them. You know, the Gnostics, all the various, probably 100 different kinds of Gnostics, they spent hundreds of years hunting down and killing all the real Christians.
Yeah. So have you had any personal experiences with what we would call the Fae? And like, where are you getting this knowledge from? Is it from stuff you've read or stuff you've experienced or downloaded?
No, I don't say anything I haven't personally experienced with my body. The first Fae that I ever experienced was actually during my UFO encounter.
Which we haven't talked about either.
No, I know. There actually was a Fae traveling on the Black Triangle UFO.
Whoa.
Yeah, you can read about other reports of this happening all throughout the literature. It's not unknown. And the gray alien? Yeah, that was a gray alien. And they're a different species from the Fae. Yeah. I don't really want to talk about them very much, but they serve a function in the cycle of life. But they're closely related to Fae. They're all but a subspecies of Fae.
The Greys, you mean?
The Greys.
Yeah.
Now, you hear some crazy stories about, well, they'll tell you that Greys aren't biological beings, but they're really like bodysuits that have energy in them. You've probably heard stories like that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, sometimes that's true. Hey, even a broken clock is right once a day. Yeah, sometimes gray aliens are wearing suits, and the energy within is actually the stuff I've been talking about. Yep. Yeah, no, there are real physical grays sometimes. That's what I was told anyway by a fairy. You know, you gotta take it with a pinch of salt when you talk to any fairy folk. Or they're known to kiss the Blarney Stone a little too often. Yeah. So, yeah, I talked to the fairy on the ship and the being that came in my back door. What?
Can you share a bit about how this even came to be in the first place?
What's
Like,
that?
how did this black triangle with the Fae appear
I
for you?
summoned it.
Okay.
You know that, right? I mean, it's in the book. It's in Jeff's book. It's on the website all over. It's on the Facebook. I've talked about it in various videos.
Just for the audience,
Okay. Yeah, I summoned it. I seem to know how to do it. So I did it. And no, it wasn't some dark occult ritual calling on Satan or whatever. No. There were no candles. There were no sacrificed baby goats. No, nothing like that. I just deepened my connection with primordial awareness and I put out a call. That's it. Not that different than like James, God, what's his last name again? Our mutual friend.
Ian Doley.
Yeah, Ian Doley.
Yeah.
Yeah. He does something similar, no doubt. His C5 protocol. It's not very complex. I think I looked at it once. Yeah. I did something similar and it can work. Various people say it can work, not just me.
Who or what were you calling?
Well, that's the money shot, as they say in basketball or whatever. That's the important question. It's a very potent question. And how that all worked out plagued me for years. So I just didn't understand. You see, I didn't want to be these people that did a CE5 or whatever. I mean, back when I did this, CE5 barely existed, back in 2013. I didn't want to be one of these people that I summoned up, an elemental, or I didn't want to summon up a fairy or what people would call a demon. There's a long story about that topic. We can go over that sometime. I didn't want to summon up just some mind figment of my imagination or create a tulpa, right? Because if you concentrate hard enough in the right way, you can just materialize something and you wind up with like a poltergeist.
Yeah.
Right?
This is across various traditions. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't want to do that. I wanted the real deal. I wanted it to at least be in part a nuts and bolts UFO. And I wouldn't take no for an answer. So here's the problem. And I used to tell Jeff about this, and I said, I'll never be able to talk about this in public. It'll destroy human civilization. I can't talk about this. This is too much. And I'm still not going to talk about all of it. But I insisted on contacting a real physical craft. Well, our universe is largely empty of such craft. Because I'm telling you, I didn't mention it, but the fungal plasma hybrids that fill up about, 20% of all available supers in the universe, they don't have ships. They don't need them. There's these like little primordial black holes that they can access, and they just shoot themselves anywhere they want in the universe. That's how the Bigfoot arrive. And when you smell the weird odors like of methane and sulfur, that's from their home world. They're not oxygen breathers. That odor is from their home world as they go through a little portal. So they don't need ships. So all this obsession about ships is just cattywampus. It's crazy. We're in a universe largely empty of spaceships. Now, someday, if we survive, we'll build them. Old Hal, he'll get that thing going yet. I know he will. And we'll be the aliens and nuts and bolts ships, but they haven't been built yet. They're just largely not in the universe. There's this materialized stuff, this temporary stuff, this like skin on the edge of the universe from the plasma layer, stuff. And it can be around for years. I mean, hell, for all I know, one did crash here, but they're not going to make much of it. It's just kind of a scum layer like on pudding from plasma. I mean, you always hear they finally get into it and then there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's because there's nothing there.
Yeah.
There doesn't need to be something there. When your innate being can travel at relativistic speeds, you don't need a star drive. You are the star drive.
Yeah.
Jeez, these guys. We're in the remedial school here on Earth, I'll tell you that.
For sure.
So, but yeah, no, there's physics out there that you could go relativistic. Could LQBA work? Probably not, from what I know. And I'm writing a book on physics, by the way. It's up to 130 pages. So it's a reformulation of all physics from classical to general relativity to special relativity, all the electrodynamics, all the QCD, all the quantum mechanics, all the gravity, all unified perfectly.
This is your theory of everything, right?
Yeah. It even works in a black hole. I've run stress tests, simulated data tests of the nature of what it'd be like in a black hole. And there never is a singularity. It goes down to the Planck minimum volume, it's called. So, yeah, I'm writing it now. I'm publishing pieces of it out in the community too. But here's the problem with that. I don't have a PhD. I don't have a bachelor's degree. I have an associate's degree in general math and science that I got by taking those math science equivalence tests after you graduate high school. And I cobbled my 6 months of nuclear power training in Orlando, Florida for the Navy. And I made a degree so that I could say I had a degree when I applied for jobs. They go, do you have a degree? Yes or no? Yes. And what that really means is they want a bachelor's degree or higher, but if they can't get a person they really want, they'll take someone with an associate's degree. But they won't go lower than that generally. So that's all I got. So,
well, you also got a PhD from Monad University, right?
yeah. And another PhD from the School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is no one's going to read this book. I mean, I tried to join what's called ResearchGate. It's where you can post papers so people can look at it.
Yeah.
After 3 days, they got back to me and said, you are not a scholar or a researcher. You may not have an account. So if I want people to see this, I'm going to have to publish it. And I'm going to publish a hardcover book. It's going to be this thick with all the color diagrams, all the heat charts, all the plots, all the light cones, everything. Python code for every step, lists of where I got the data, quoting who did similar work, how to do the falsification tests, and how to prove what I'm saying is correct. And I'm going to print it, and I'm going to call it, maybe I should call it Forbidden Science. Oh, wait a minute, that's been taken. Okay. But that's functionally what it is.
Yeah.
Science doesn't want to hear from people like me, but I'm an autistic savant. I should be able to I just want to contribute in society, right? I mean, maybe this fancy theory is just all poofery. There's nothing to it. It's just all crap. Maybe. And if that's true, then prove it. Show me. But if nobody reads it, I won't know. But on the other hand, I ran it through Claude, Gemini, and Copilot AI, and they all said that it was structurally on the same level as Wolfram and Penrose in their theoretical books that they've published for consideration. Those guys are gods. And AI, 3 of them so far have said that, yeah, it's that airtight. It's on that level. And then it says, but, your math pipeline isn't correct here, and that looks like a fitted parameter there, and all these things. And it says, you're not quite ready to publish yet. You need 10 years more work on this. It said, 10 years. I'm about to hit 65. I don't have 10 more years. So that's why my plan is I'm just going to get it as tight as I can. Today, I solved another mystery of physics. I've solved 13 so far. Most people go a lifetime and don't solve one. I've solved 13. And it's all written up. And I'm going to publish this, and I'm going to say, listen, folks, science is not very friendly unless you play the academic game, your PhDs and your tenure and this and that and this and that.
Yeah.
And you know what? Sometimes there's just some guy that has something to contribute. And that guy is not claiming to be on your level. He's just saying, hey, I got an idea. Can you check it out? But nobody will ever check anything out in this world. It's always, get away from me, kid. You're bothering me. That's how everyone, not everyone, but you know what I mean? There's this.
Yeah.
If someone's rich and powerful and this and that,
well,
some regular person doesn't have a chance.
I have a feeling the right people will read it.
And if it's 90% wrong, but I give one person a great idea for more research in a new direction, it was worth it. That's all I want. If I can manage that much.
I think you will.
Well, we'll see. Maybe the phenomena just wants to hang me out to dry because I've gotten uppity and it wants to humiliate me. No, it's fine. If I got it coming, right? Humiliate me. Come, humiliate me. I'm perfectly willing to be humiliated. At least I tried, right?
Yeah. Well, all right. Just going back to, we went on like 5 segues, so
I know. I'm sorry, man.
that's fine. I knew what I signed up for. The Black Triangle.
Yep. Oh, yeah. So in this universe, there's only one place that makes physical nuts and bolts UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you. But since I insisted, it had to come from that place. And
It's a place.
when the story about those black triangles hits our society, it's going to rip it apart.
Do you mean it's like a physical place?
Yeah. There's exactly one place that has genuine, I can't say non-human even. That should give you a hint. There's one place that these things come from. Now, I'm not talking about some black clone thing, ARV. I don't care about that shit. Fine. Have your little stories. And it might even be a little true, but I'm not talking about that. There's only one place this comes from, and I can't tell you where it's from. And when I found out where it was from, it freaking fried my brain.
Whoa. Can you say if it's on Earth or not?
I'm not trying to be mysterious here. Sorry, man. I was hoping you wouldn't ask about it.
We don't have to go wherever you don't want to go. That's fine.
Okay, I'll say one thing. Okay? But then you got to leave it alone. Will you leave it alone for now, at least?
Yeah.
The Black Triangle physical UFOs are sourced in the land of the dead. And your brain's going, but I thought the land of the dead was this plasma stuff and the fairy stuff, and this makes no sense. Well, trust me, it makes sense. But yeah, they're sourced from the land of the dead. And yeah, the secret of the Black Triangles is the one thing that's relatively close to disclosure, like the chattering monkey heads talk about. It's scary as F. The truth behind Black Triangle UFOs. I can't even talk about it. It's just too much. I'm cool with it because I understand Platonic Surrealism, and I know that I'm here on Bound Awareness, playing with potentiality in all worlds and all times, so nothing can touch me. I'm fine, but if you don't have that level of awareness, it might freak you too much. And that sounds all elitist and like I think I'm special. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's a heavy load. It's that ontological shock people talk about. And I just don't want to be the one responsible for talking about it.
No, yeah. I mean, I've heard, Whitley Strieber has talked about feeling and this connection with death, with the phenomenon for sure. He talks about it
tightly connected.
I've heard it even come from some of the ex Skywatcher folks. So
really?
Yeah.
I never heard that from them. They're an interesting bunch, by the way, those guys.
Some of the psionic ones, yeah. Well, so how did the let's not talk about the source then, but actually what you experienced. You said there was a Fae with a gray, right?
Okay. Here we go. So I did the 3-day concentration ritual. Part of the process is you give of your own personal dream substance, which is what I call the personal sentient plasma in your body. It's just like my grandmother was the Lakota Sioux medicine woman who lived on the reservation.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. And what they would do is that they would take tobacco and they'd use it as a gift to attract the spirits, right? So they take the tobacco and they'd light it up. And they said it attracted the spirits. Well, you know why? Do you know what tobacco smoke is?
No.
I do. It's plasma. It's small, dusty particles in an ionized and energetic sheath. That's the very definition of plasma. If you want to attract a metaphysical being on the plasma level, there's not much you can do better than to light up some tobacco if you do it respectfully. If you're an asshole, they probably won't come around.
And we're not talking about like cigarette tobacco. We're talking like
Well,
ceremonial grade.
one never knows, but cigarette tobacco was so processed, it's probably the insult. They probably don't want nothing to do with it.
This makes me think, I don't want to interrupt you, but it makes me think of Whitley Strieber talking about his theory on why he sees like quote unquote hybrids smoking all the time.
I never heard that.
Yeah. Well, for him, I think he says it's something about like dampening their telepathic capacities because it's just too much noise. That tobacco does that. But I wonder if
Actually, it would. You want to know why?
There's that. Yeah. Go ahead.
Because that tobacco smoke in your lungs is a chaotic, non-ordered plasma that would interfere with the integrity of your own native plasma. Yeah, I think Whitley, my man, is right. And I know the science, and he doesn't. He's a great guy. I'm not cutting him down. I have nothing but the deepest respect, especially for Anne. She was a goddess. She was. She ushered in the future. People don't know it. Her one comment, I think this all has something to do with death. That ushered in the future. Without her, there would have been no future. That's how important she was.
Yeah.
So nothing but respect to Mr. and Mrs. Strieber.
Agreed. So sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So for 3 days, I kept concentrating. I did sleep fitfully, and I tried to concentrate while sleeping. It's not as easy as you might think. Some of the yoga masters could do it. I was never good at it. So 3 days came and went, and I go, well, damn, it didn't work. I mean, come on. If you tried something for 3 days and it doesn't work, you'd give up, maybe. I gave up. I go, oh, hell. Well, I gave it the old college try. I did. So I gave up. And by the way, if you study this sort of stuff, it's at the point of giving up that actually usually triggers something happening.
Yep.
See, you're releasing into the environment instead of holding on inside of your body. See, the information got to finally spread out into the universe. And my worries, my projections about the future that were keeping it locked inside of me, they all drifted away because I gave up on it. Well, F it. It didn't work. Well, that's what made it work. Yeah.
That's what Chris Bledsoe said in his first experience. He was like on the verge of just giving up on life after everything he went through. And that's when it all started for him.
Yeah. I snipe at Chris Bledsoe because he looks at river boats on his local river and calls them orbs sometimes, and he confuses the International Space Station with a major event. And that will insult the people that just like worship him as a god. And I'm sorry, but on the other hand, no, he's the real deal. He's like a natural shaman. He really is. So nothing but the deepest respect to Chris and Ryan. I really like Ryan. I talked to him in the past. So good luck to you, Chris and Ryan. I wish you the very best.
Yeah, that's what I like to tell people. It's not black and white. There's so much nuance in this, especially with experiencers.
But sorry, dude. Your pyramid stuff with the lady ain't gonna happen. Sorry, you'll find out. We can have a good laugh about it. Anyway, so I was exhausted. And I'm a pasta maniac, right? I'm famous for being Oh yeah. In fact, on another podcast where I've had like 5 videos so far, they've got a nickname for me. I'm the great Pastafarian. That's my nickname. Yeah. So I hope it's meant with love. If it's not, oh well. But so I had recently discovered these like bird's eye or whatever microwave pastas. So I was all tired. I didn't have the energy to boil my own pasta. So I had this little microwave pasta. And I stuck it in the microwave, and it just finished, and I was opening the door of the microwave. And then I felt this huge static field hit the house. And stuff started it didn't levitate, but there was just static electricity everywhere in the house, everywhere throughout the house. And my hair was kind of lifting up. It was freaking like weird science or something. I'm telling you, it was freaky. And then I started feeling this structured energy field, maybe, I don't know, 4 blocks around my house formed. Wow. And I didn't realize at that time, but that's what the Oz Effect feels like. Most people know about the Oz Effect. The Oz Effect seems to be that when two layers of the universe that aren't normally in contact come into contact and reconfigure, and there's kind of a border between realities, that zone between the realities, that's the Oz Effect. So I felt it form, and it was all freaky. And then at the back of my neck, I felt that sense of dread that people talk about sometimes. And so I didn't take the pasta out of the microwave because I knew I would drop it. So I closed the door. I did eat the pasta later, by the way. I won't spoil good pasta. I had to heat it up again, though. It cooled down. I turned around and I walked a couple steps forward, and that's when the gray came in the door and paralyzed me. So then I slumped into my easy chair. Very polite. You know, most people who get abducted, they get brought to planets and stuff or whatever they think. Man, I got to stay in my easy chair. That was just so polite. Well, I mean, come on. I'm part of a lineage of a shaman. They show me respect, right? I'm real serious about this. And actually, I've got 49% of my DNAs from Norway, where they had fairy folk there. I probably had a double dipping between the Indian influence and the
Norse.
The Scandinavian Fae. And DNA does matter. DNA is a part of this. But anyway, so then, like I said, I was paralyzed for 15 minutes. I couldn't do anything about it. Very humbling. And I went looking around for the little blader. Didn't appreciate what he'd done. And then I looked up and I saw the UFO, right? We went through that far.
We what?
Have we gone to the point where I looked up?
No.
We haven't? That was the previous. I've had like 4 interviews in the last month, dude. I'm sorry.
No worries. We didn't touch on it at all.
So yeah, I got that weird sense at the back of my neck that I was being watched. And I just knew there was something. If I were just to look up, I would see it. And there I was. Massive.
From your easy chair, or were you?
No, I was in the backyard looking for the little gray alien, the punk, to let him know that I didn't appreciate what he did to me.
Wow.
So, yeah, I looked up and there it was. People go, well, how big was it? Well, you know, relative size, it's impossible to know. I mean, what looks like the moon could be 100 feet away. If you don't have any gauge to calibrate its real distance. So I don't really know how big it was. But I got the sense that maybe it was like 500 or 1,000 feet above me, not that high up.
Okay.
Maybe the size of a 747, like 1,000 feet up. That's still pretty big, right? I mean,
yeah.
That's the kind of scale I'm talking about. So it was not one of these wimpy little lights in the sky, right? It wasn't like, oh, I saw a Tesla satellite. It's an orb. It's a UFO. Let me report this on Reddit. No, it was the real thing. And it was huge. And it was realer than real. See, that's the sign of a metaphysical UFO. It felt realer than real. It was so bright. It was vibrant. It was like more alive than I am. I mean, it was just magnificent. And it appeared to be constructed of black gunmetal that had the little kind of texture to it. Mm-hmm. And it was a perfect triangle. And it had this cavity in the center that went down inside the craft. And it had guardrails, human guardrails around it. Human. And get this, it had rivets. Now, here's the thing. We're going to spend a lot of time on this. Rivets. They looked like real rivets, but they were kind of like cartoon rivets. They were just too obvious. It was like, look at me, look at the rivets, look at the rivets. You know, it's like, well, you thought you were summoning some sort of combo, transcendent, part spirit, part matter thing. And all I'm going to wave in front of your face is rivets, 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 right? It's the jokey nature of all this. Even though it's dead serious, there's always that cosmic joke thing going on. So
you don't think it's what some people call mimicry of the phenomenon? You think it's like with an intention to maybe deceive? You think it's just like a little joke?
I don't want to go into that topic. There's a lot of deception. You know, like rule number 3 in Platonic Surrealism is that the only law of physics is deception. I mean, we're kind of in a self-created simulation. There's nothing but deception.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it can be whatever it wants to be and be physical matter at the same time. Isn't that crazy? It can, it can be like Jacques' metamaterial. Okay, fine. Analyze it. Have fun. Enjoy. Yeah. It won't get you anywhere. But anyway, and it did have 3 red lights, 1 in each vertex. And it had a arc light, like, like a welding arc light. The old-fashioned arc lights they invented before they invented light bulbs. Arc lights are just intensely bright. It had this arc light inside the central cavity. So that's what I saw. No wings, no engines, no noise. The whole environment was dead silent. That's an aspect of the Oz effect. There was no sound. None. Except for, I heard something like a rubbing together of legs or some sort of thing. And I looked over about 50 feet away and I saw a mosquito. And I could hear its hind legs rubbing together. That's how quiet it was. Now, I believe the phenomenon, which of course is me and you and all of us, was trying to communicate just how dead quiet it was. That's how quiet it was that I could hear the legs on this mosquito rubbing together 50 feet away. But that was the only sound there was. It was dead quiet. So I saw the UFO, the unidentified Fortean object, as I defined in the previous episode.
I love it.
And I had the basic concept that since I summoned it, I would get to tell it what to do. That's basic summoning lore, right? If you summon something, you have a little bit of control over it, but maybe not as much as you think. See, that's always the dilemma there. But I was nice. It liked me. It was in a good mood. I could feel it was in a good mood. It was like showing off, And I said, well, my friends will think you're a black craft and government craft or whatever. And so I need you to show me all yourself so you can show me you don't have any hidden propulsion surfaces or jet engines or anything. And so it wiggled this way and it wiggled that way and it showed me up on top and it showed me to the side. It was just all dancing for me so I could see it clearly. And I was, gratitude. I didn't make a big thing of it, but part of this was I had a sense of I wanted to do like a scientific test. I had like a little script in my head of things I would try if it worked. And one of them was I wanted to see if I could talk to it and if it would take requests. I thought that was likely. And I was right. See? You make a hypothesis. You try to turn it into a theory. You try to test it. You try to record your experimental results. And I did. Yeah. And then I said, well, I know you wascally wabbit. That's how I talked to it. I shook my finger at it even. No, I didn't. Okay.
Good.
I wasn't that cool then. It makes me sound too cool. No, I was actually shitting my drawers over this. No, I was. Can you imagine if you spent 3 days trying to summon a UFO and you wouldn't take no for an answer? And it appeared? I don't want to sound all cool. I was freaking ontologically shocked. I was just shell-shocked. It was crazy, but it was exciting. But it was, oh my God, I did this. What have I done? And it was a real pivot point in my life because you and I wouldn't be having this conversation if I hadn't done that. Because Jacques Vallée wouldn't have come out and spent the day with me and gone to Olive Garden with me.
Now that I know you're a pasta fiend, the whole Olive Garden story makes sense.
See?
Yeah.
That's the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always get tour of Italy. That's what I had that day. Yeah, so anyway. And then I said, well, I know that you can shapeshift. I just know it. So don't screw with me. Just do it. And so it assumed like 4 different forms. It assumed 3 forms that I wanted. And it assumed 1 form that I didn't want. And I said, man, dude, why did you have to do that? It assumed the form of a ship from Star Trek: The Next Generation. I go, dude, when I tell this story, people are going to think I'm some sort of stone Trekkie. Dude, why did you have to do that? You know the trouble you've caused me.
What were the other forms that you wanted?
I wanted just a square and a circle and a pyramid. And then it it turned into that combined form you hear about. I bet they even talked about it in a Skywatcher. These things tend to do it. It's like a
cube within a sphere.
Yeah, that sort of thing. It did that. It did that on its own. I never asked for it.
Interesting.
Probably just so I could tell you about it now. I'm not joking.
Yeah, I know.
Time is different for
I know
this
how this
stuff.
works.
Yeah. So now here's the rivet thing again. The rivets are the secret to this in some ways. It came from the East, and I could only see it for a grand total of about 45 seconds. That's all the viewing time I had. Now, no, I didn't have a cell phone on me. I only had a flip phone, and it was in my bedroom, and I only used it when I was on call because I don't like phones. So I had nothing to take a picture of it with. People go, man, you did all that, and you didn't have like a movie camera rolling for 3 days. You're a liar. No.
Probably wouldn't have shown up then.
Well, A, it wouldn't have shown up at all. Or B, it would have showed up, but it would have never appeared on the film.
Yeah.
Like at Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah.
They never got a shot of anything. They had like cows teleporting, but it never showed up.
Or it's just enough to cast doubt, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But in any case, this was a test for me. I wanted to see if I could do it before making all this noise about it, putting myself out in the public and humiliating myself. It was for me. Then I thought, well, if it comes for me, then I'll just do it again under controlled conditions if somebody wants me to. No one's ever wanted me to. Well, they did. They wanted me to at Esalen, but it wasn't controlled. So, yeah, and I summoned the one there, but only the one person saw it. The UFO girl in the hot tub. She's the only one that saw it. I'm in touch with her still. She's a great lady. Great fun. Yeah, she just loves being called UFO girl. It just makes her laugh hysterically. Anyway, the rivets. So I saw it just peeking over the eastern horizon, and I saw the rivets. And by the way, they looked like this size. I mean, they were easy to observe, right? They were clear. There was rivets all over the place on the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, only near the central causeway that had the light coming out of it is where the rivets mainly were. I never saw rivets anywhere else. But here's the point. So I saw the rivets when it was all the way to the east. And then I got the best look at it in a way when it was directly overhead. And the rivets were there. Okay? It kept going across the sky to the west. The rivets were there. Finally, it disappeared over the western horizon, and the rivets were there.
Huh.
Now, here's the secret. The rivets never changed size based on distance. They were always the same size. And that was a clue to bake my noodles like in fucking, in the Matrix, whatever Oracle said, this'll bake your noodle, Neo. Well, that's what baked my noodle.
Yeah.
And so that's it. 45 seconds of me interacting with a UFO that had distance, perspective, agnostic rivets. They would not change size. If it was on the North Pole, you know what I would see? Rivets. I would see rivets if it was on the North Pole. I might not see anything else, but I would see rivets, damn it. Oh, now I got to tell you the rest of my story, right? So that was the story. I contacted my friend, the world famous physicist who helped develop the 0-point field in Germany. I knew him.
Well, wait, hold on one second before we go there. Where does the Fae come in? You said there was a Fae involved in that experience, right?
Well, I talked to it briefly. It was on the ship. I never physically saw it. I just talked to it.
Okay. And what can you describe the interaction? What made you think it was Fae or know it was Fae?
Because I could see it in my mind and I was talking to it and it told me.
Wow. Okay. Can you
And no, it didn't give me any secrets of the universe or anything. In fact, I don't think it knows as much about the universe as I do. And they're playful. They're not necessarily scholars. People think, oh yeah, it's some other being. It's got to have more smarts than Einstein. Well, not necessarily.
Yeah.
My dog is not as smart as I am.
Was that your first interaction with them?
With a Fae, that was my first time. Yeah, with a Fae. Now, I saw a gray in 1981. My first time was in 1981. 3 years before written about by Whitley Strieber, by the way. I was the
Wow.
first one to see a gray, not him. Unless he saw them years before and just never wrote about it. And no, I'm not doing one-upmanship. I saw a gray in 1981. Sorry, dude. It's just deal with it.
Yeah.
So
Wow. Okay.
that was that encounter. I contacted my friend who was a world famous physicist to help develop the math around the 0-point field concept.
Mm-hmm.
And I contacted him and said, hey, what do you know about UFOs? And I told him the story. And he said, well, I don't know anything about UFOs, but I got a friend that can help you. And so he called up Jacques Vallée. He gave me his number, and Jacques came out, him and his first wife. And I spent all day with him, like 10 hours. He sat on my couch, my little apartment. I didn't own a house yet at that time. Very humble little house. Mr. Vallée and his wife.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I know. And then we went to Olive Garden for lunch, and he got his like Perrier water. I don't think that was the brand, but it was one of those snooty French waters. I'm not saying he's snooty, but the water is. Well, anyway, I'm an American, you know. We put ketchup on everything. We have no class at all.
Europeans prefer sparkling water. I know. I'm not a fan.
Yeah. So anyway,
Wow.
yeah, we talked about all the famous UFO cases, talked about mine in great detail. He took all these notes. I provided him the drawing I made of the UFO because I could draw it. I remember the first time I told Jeff that, he goes, oh, yeah, you drew it? And well, it's in the book. How to Think It Possibly. It's in the book. You want to see my UFO? It's right in there. Yeah, I took these scribbly notes, you know, silent, fast, like 7:48 p.m., whatever it was, you know, on the date, and it's all there, little crib notes about the UFO, and it's scanned right in the book. How to Think It Possible. You want to see it? Buy the book. And no, I don't make any money from it.
I'll show a photo later.
Okay. Yeah, I don't make any money from the book, you know. Only Jeff does. But he deserves it. Well, that's the book. I don't know what page the picture of the UFO is on, but
yeah.
Well, they should buy the book. It'll contribute to the, you know, Rice University.
A great place that should
get supported. You bet. I'm a supporter. Financially, I mean, I'm an actual supporter.
That's great.
So anyway, yeah, I was in touch with Jacques for about 3 years, and we talked about cases, and he showed me the, you know, you hear about the famous magnesium bismuth UFO samples. He just took them out of his pocket and showed them to me. Yeah. I've been close to greatness. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
So we talked about all the cases and what it really meant. Stuff that I can't say. Aren't I annoying? I'll diffuse that. Jacques never said anything to me he hasn't eventually said on the internet. It might have taken him 5 years to get to it, but no. Yeah. He never said anything to me he hasn't said publicly. I'm not playing that, I've got the secret knowledge game. No. I'm not playing that card. So it was a really great visit. And of course, I reported to MUFON too. They were effing annoying. Sorry, MUFON. You were very annoying. I'm sure they're a great organization, and I'm glad they're there, and I'm not actually cutting them down. But at least at the time, if you had a UFO report and you mentioned paranormal, metaphysical details, they would leave it out.
Yep.
And those are the only details that matter. So leaving out the only details that matter is just a crime against God and nature. Shouldn't do that.
I agree.
So anyway, I did encounter fairies one other time. Do you want to hear about that?
Please. And then we can wrap it up after that.
Okay. It's a sad story, though. Can you take another sad story?
If you can, I can.
Yeah. So 2 years ago, my wife was diagnosed with terminal heart failure. Like she had 6 months to live and she was going to die. Some months after her diagnosis, by the way, she's still alive and doing better.
Thankfully.
I love her to death, literally to death. I love her. I mean, when she dies, I might just go with her. I can do it. Did it before. I'm telling you, I love the woman. Okay. So she had the death sentence basically diagnosed to her. She's got a severely damaged heart. She's apparently had his heart failure since she was a 9-year-old girl. She kept complaining to her parents about it, but they didn't believe in medicine. They said, well, if God wants you to live, you'll be healed. Otherwise, you'll die.
Oh,
They were that kind of family.
jeez.
And then she went to the doctor over the years, and they all patted her on the head and said, "Now, dear, stop being a hysterical woman. Stop it. You're just getting yourself excited." Well, she was in advanced heart failure from the age of 9. She didn't know it.
Oh my God.
And she got diagnosed accidentally. She was having some breathing problems. And so her pulmonologist said, "Hey, we should just get a cardiogram. I need to check out your heart, see if it's okay." And yeah, advanced heart failure, just months to live.
Wow.
I
I'm so
know.
sorry, Kevin.
I know. It's been hell. Now, I guess I'll give the good news so we don't have to have our head down completely. She finally, just 2 weeks ago, got a defibrillator with pacemaker circuitry implanted in her chest. And it has partially stabilized her heart, just partially, though. But it's probably given some years of life to her. So I'm very grateful for that, right?
Oh, that's
She's
great.
healing. So I'm very grateful for that. You know, I mean, I'm all spiritual and metaphysical, but science is also cool too, right? Just whatever works, right?
Yep.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I'm glad.
So to make a long story short, or I'm not sure I'm capable of telling a short story, honestly.
I wasn't going to say it.
Yeah. So just like maybe a month after her diagnosis or something, she woke up screaming, and it woke me up. And standing there right in front of her and me in the bedroom was a gnome. And it wasn't sleep paralysis, and I wasn't sleepy, not after her screaming so much. It wasn't a nightmare. I wasn't dreaming about gnomes. She wasn't dreaming about gnomes, at least by her own self-report. And I certainly wasn't. I'm not a person that dreams about gnomes, okay? It's just not my thing.
Gnomes eating pasta.
If I visit them, they will. You know, if you're a good host, you got to give your guest what he needs, to live. Pasta. So, in fact, I'm going to have some pasta as soon as I end our interview. Well, as soon as you're telling me. And
was this like a stereotypical, like Scandinavian depiction of a gnome?
Well, that's an interesting question. Answer is no, it really wasn't. He was about 3.5, 4 feet tall, which is kind of the right height, pretty much. But here's the interesting thing about the experience is my wife Mary said, "Do you see that?" And I said, "What? You mean the gnome that's standing at the foot of the bed that has the gray hair with the silver lock over his right temple? That gnome?" And she said, yeah, I see him. And then I had a little telepathic conversation with him. And this is why I had to tell the story. The presence of a being like this kind of stirs up your latent abilities. So I was more I'm normally not that telepathic. I leave this shit alone, right? I don't want synchronicities. I don't want weird stuff. I just want to live my little boring life, right? I do. Well, 95% that's true. I don't mind 5% having a little fun with this, right?
Yeah.
So I found I was in his mind. And I asked him, "Hey, what's your name?" Now, it is breach of protocol to ever ask a fairy or a spirit their name. It'll get you in serious trouble. They won't like you. They will hold it against you. It can only be negative. They don't like that. Because if you name a thing, you control a thing, and they don't want to be controlled.
Do they ever tell people on their own volition?
Well, but no, not generally. If a fae befriends you, they might tell you their name. But they've got 1,000 names, right? They're hyper beings. They exist smeared over 1,000 worlds, just like we are. So they've got 1,000 names. And they want the freedom to be, appear on bond awareness, just like we should want it. They don't want to be pegged to this one thing. So anyway, I discovered I was in his mind. Because like I said, the presence of a being like this always causes that acceleration effect of paranormal abilities. And I asked him his name, and I realized I shouldn't ask that. But I got the sense it was okay. And I felt in his mind that he was trying to decide what to tell me. I was in his mind like I was him almost, right?
Yeah.
The deepest level of connection. And I heard his thoughts. He was going, rivets. See, I can't make this shit up. And I go, "Oh, no, dude, don't go there. I don't want to hear about no more effing rivets. No, I know you think you're funny, and okay, fine, you're funny, okay? And he liked it. Yeah, you're funny. So I named him. You know, I'm not going to call you Rivet. I will not. But I'll call you Riz. And he liked it. That I named him Riz.
My friend Riz Verk will like that one.
Yeah. So I talked to him telepathically a little bit. Now, I'm not quite sure who my wife talked to. There was another gnome, and I call him Papa Smurf, and he doesn't always like that.
But there was another one.
Yeah, the dad, so to speak. And I call him Papa Smurf. So he doesn't really like that, though. But he won't give me his name, and I don't feel like I can name him. The one named Riz, he was a youngin'.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
And your wife saw both or just one?
Well, that's just it. We both strongly saw the one, Riz. I sensed Papa Smurf in my mind, but I didn't see him.
Okay.
But my wife saw him flat out. I didn't. And he said the words to her, "It's time to come home."
Wow.
Meaning it's time for her to die, and they were going to take her back to fairy world.
Wow.
Have you heard of psychopomps?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was her psychopomp come to collect her.
These are, for the audience, like archetypal beings who act as basically guides between the worlds.
Right. To fairy souls across the river Styx and that sort of thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I talked to him briefly, and he was okay, but he wasn't this like friendly. Like Riz was very friendly, and my wife Mary told me that oh God, we did have a name for him finally. What was it? Leopold. Oh my man, my man Leopold. That's his name he finally gave me, Leopold. And I wonder, what in hell kind of name is Leopold?
He gave it to you.
No, that's his name. Papa Smurf's name is Leopold. So I was not able to be in his mind. You know, he was much older and more experienced, and he kept me out of his mind. Yeah. Old Riz there, he was like a baby. My wife Mary told me that Riz had escaped and wanted to go on an adventure, and that it actually wasn't quite time for her to go to Fairyland anyway. But, well, Riz had broken protocol. He wasn't supposed to come and collect her yet. So that's what Mary told me. Now, let me tell you something about Mary, okay? From the day I met her, we compared me to Mulder from the X-Files, and she was Scully. She loves science. She loves Excel spreadsheets. The way that I met her is she made an Excel spreadsheet with the top 100 attributes that a man in her life would have to have, and only someone that matched all 100 would be allowed to date her. I matched all 100. I'm not making this shit up.
Wow.
Yeah, so she's massively not into this stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a few twinges. She said that she was like Mulder when she was young, but the world was so dangerous and hostile, she decided that science could give her things that would be good in her life. So anyway, she was just terrified, and there was a period of like 3 months she kept waking up screaming because there seemed to be an open portal to the fairy world right in our bedroom, and stuff would wander by, and it just was terrorizing her, and she'd wake up screaming. And some of the times I'd say, "Oh yeah, I see it. It's like this, and this, and this." And she'd go, "Yeah, that's what I'm seeing." Other times, and that was at first, but after like 2 weeks, she just woke up screaming, and I couldn't see what she was reporting. Yeah, I mean, she saw it. I don't know what to say about that. But this whole thing went on for about 3 months of her waking up screaming every night.
Wow.
It was very traumatic. So eventually she got on some good heart medication, and she's on the pacemaker thing now, and she's doing better. I might get to keep her another 5 years.
That's great. I'm glad.
That's better than no years, right? So just one other little note here. So I contacted an associate of mine, Sean Aceborn Hargens.
He's a friend. We've had him on the show.
Yeah. So he's an expert on this stuff. He's an expert on fairy folk.
Yep.
And I said to him, hey, they came and visited. And the strangest thing, I don't understand. Leopold's like a, I don't know, German or French or something name. Why? Oh, they told me they were from Norway.
Okay.
Why would a Norwegian gnome, and they do have them there to this day, there's still reports, right?
Yeah.
Why would a Norwegian gnome be called Leopold? I mean, he was like king of some country or whatever in history. And Sean said, well, it's not commonly reported in the literature. Those who study this know that's generally the case, that they will have a name that is different from the country they come from. And it's not unusual for them to go to any country in the world if they feel like it. They're not rooted to just their host culture they were originally from.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, he was utterly fascinated that Papa Smurf's name was Leopold. Utterly fascinated. And he said, yeah, this is the normal pattern. Pretty cool. But what do you think of my story about Riz and he wanted to name himself Rivet, the little punk?
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's a great story. It's maybe my best story. It's quite a story.
Can I ask you a bit more about them? You said they didn't resemble like typical Scandinavian depictions in folklore. You said he had like a silver streak of hair.
Yeah.
Can you describe them a bit more?
I didn't want to have to tell you this. He looked like the cartoon character Johnny Bravo, except with that hair. He had the Johnny Bravo hair. Yeah, that's what he looked like.
I've been accused of this too, so.
Okay. They can appear anything any way they want to.
Yeah.
So that's what we saw. We both saw the exact same thing. What are the odds of two people being dead asleep, one person being super skeptical and the other one having never physically seen a gnome before, both waking up in the same instant, describing a 4-foot tall gnome at the edge of the bed who looks like Johnny Bravo with a silver lock in his gray hair, and it's Johnny Bravo hair? What's the chance that we were both dreaming that? Nothing.
And what about the like face, the skin, was anything else visible?
It was a little bit caricatured looking, but mostly just a regular face.
Like a human face?
Yeah.
Wow.
Those like yard gnomes?
Yeah.
Kind of like that, except for a little less Santa-like or whatever. Just, just like a short person. Kind of handsome, muscular, very beautiful hair. He was mentioning how much he was admired for his hair.
Really?
Yeah. The silver streak is a sign of royalty. That means he's a offspring of a royal to have the silver lock of hair. He was telling me about it. He was so proud.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, you need to understand this telepathic communication happened about over a period of like 2 seconds. I mean, telepathy's fast.
Yeah. Just everything just downloaded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But the little blighter was trying to get me to call him Rivet. Can't believe that guy. They must take notes or something. I mean, coordinate their activity. Yeah, these little guys.
This was amazing, Kevin. Thank you so much for diving into all that. There's so much, like we said, I can have a file with like 5 interviews with you on different topics at least. So I definitely want to have you back again in the future.
I hope you know that this is the deepest, most detailed I've ever spoken about this in public or writing.
About the Fae?
About the gnomes and about even the UFO, pretty much. I mean, you got the best version of this ever captured.
I mean, thank you. This stuff fascinates me, and I think it's even within that experience, like I have so many more questions for you because.
Well, sometimes those rivets were pretty important.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like there's nuggets in there that I think can resonate with people in different ways and maybe clarify things in their own experiences, and that's why I love the like phenomenological approach to this stuff. Yeah.
This stuff often has a marker, and if you're smart, you'll catch the marker and you'll remember it, and it will pay back. These rivets are going to be part of my life forever now. Right?
Friend of mine, Birdie, remote viewer, I think her YouTube channel is called No Rivets.
Why is that?
It's like the opposite. I don't know. I'll have to ask her about that. I don't know.
Hey, will you tell her about my rivet story?
I will after this, yeah.
Okay. Well,
that's
Anthony, I'm just
maybe that's your
tuckered, man.
Otherworld.
I'm tuckered.
Yeah, you deserve it. You deserve rest. You deserve people hearing more about you and your story and your wisdom and your knowledge. So thank you so much, Kevin.
Do what I can. Take it with a grain of salt.
Thank you. And
Okay.
good luck and God bless to you. And
Thank you.
And thanks for everything you're doing.
Okay. Thank you too, sir. I'm glad you're on the internet and you're talking to unique individuals and them. So thank you too. Thank you very much.
And it's all to get it out there for people who need it. So thank you.
Okay.
All right. Thanks,
Signing
guys.
off.
See you next time.
Okay.